In this video we're going to have a look at a full day of food, and I'm going to put all of my food into Cronometer, cronometer.com, which is going to break down the full spectrum of food into micros and macros. You can see exactly where my fats, proteins and carbohydrates are going to come from. I hope you find it useful. So first off, we started with a green juice. Got up in the morning, I had my litre of water, close to a litre of water, and then I had green juice. So that juice was cucumber, celery, carrot, apple, ginger, spinach and lemon, and I've put those in as individual items in Cronometer here. So don't really ever count the green juice as any sort of calories, but it goes a long way towards your mineral intake and a bit of protein and a few other bits and pieces here and there. After the green juice I had a smoothie, and this was just a shop bought smoothie, and I had most of the carton of that, and rather than breaking that down into the individual fruits, I just put in smoothie fruit made without dairy products, etc. And you know, this is not going to be an accurate thing. I mean, it's pretty accurate, but it's not going to be 100% precise into all of the different micro and macronutrients, but it does give you a very good idea of where you're at. And this is why I so strongly promote using Cronometer. It's a free tool available on the internet when you first get on this lifestyle to track exactly what you're doing. So after the smoothie I then had some oats. So I had 3 cups of oats with 2 bananas, and with that always I put this sort of stuff into my oats: flax, pumpkin seeds, goji berries, and a Brazil nut or 2, almonds, and all of that goes into the oats. And I just made that with water today. Sometimes I use a plant-based milk, sometimes, depending on what's available, I might use a soy milk that could be fortified with B12 or calcium or whatever else. But today I just made it with water, and so we'll have a look at how that comes out in the breakdown. After that, I then had the final meal of the day, which was a sweet potato salad. So I had a bag of mixed greens, mixed baby greens, and then some baked sweet potatoes with a cup of kidney beans, some pepper, and just at the bottom here as well I've put in the 2 litres of water that I had, and that's my weight. And then I also spent about an hour on the bike, just errands, just getting around, nothing major. So what Cronometer shows you is it gives you a complete breakdown of exactly all of your macros. It's such a powerful tool. So immediately here we can see my calories consumed, 3,084, and then I burned 2859. So that takes into consideration my basal metabolic rate, which again, it's not going to be 100% precise, but it gives you an idea. It gives you a ballpark of where you're at. It takes into account the activity and just exercise, staying, what is this? So this is general activity. So this is just staying alive, sleeping, breathing, moving around. And this is the exercise on the bike that I put in. The overall breakdown of all of that: carbohydrates 78%, fat around about 13%, and protein 9%. So near enough 80-10-10. You can see the pie chart here, calorie breakdown. Let's get some more precise numbers here, 12.6. So you can see this is near enough 80-10-10, and this isn't putting any specific emphasis on carbohydrates. This is just eating whole plant-based foods, and this is pretty much what your micros and macros are going to look like. So we've got everything pretty much is being achieved. Everything's being achieved. Protein, 120% of my day's protein, and that's without making specific effort to have protein-rich foods. This is just whole plant-based foods. Where do you get your protein? Some of these are extremely high, 680% of cysteine, omega-3, omega-6. What's really cool about Cronometer as well is when you hover over each macro, it shows you the exact breakdown where all of that stuff came from. So if I just hover over omega-6 here, it shows me that most of that came from, 34% of that came from the pumpkin seeds, 31% of that came from the oatmeal. So you can see the breakdown of everything. Cholesterol 0, don't eat any cholesterol. Saturated fat 38%. I'm not too concerned that my saturated fat was a bit low. Everything else, B vitamins, the ones missing here, you'll always pretty much see these missing on a plant-based diet. B12, because, you know, officially speaking, there's no B12 in plant-based foods unless it is organic, straight from the soil, still covered in bacteria from the soil. But I supplement, and I recommend a supplementation for B12, and I also recommend sunshine, which is your source of vitamin D. So a little bit under on vitamin E and calcium and sodium. Again, I'm not concerned about being low on sodium, and I'm not concerned about being low on these other two yellow things here as well, because from day to day, as you go about your eating, sometimes you're going to have really high omega-6, sometimes you're going to have really high omega-3. You're not going to be hitting each one of these every single day. But it's good just to put this in when you're on the Thriving program. It's good just to put these things in, and you can see on a day-to-day roughly how you're doing. Just roughly how you're doing. It's just an idea. I'd say, for example, today my fat was a little bit high because I was really, really hungry today. I've been doing a fair bit on the bike, and so maybe this is quite a high fat day for me. 46 grams of fat. Again, that's way under the UK recommended fat intake, but tomorrow, you know, I might be 30 grams or 25 grams. So, you know, you balance out from day to day. So another thing you can do with Cronometer is you can have a look at the individual foods. So if you want to have a look at, say, sweet potatoes, for example, I had 5 medium sweet potatoes, accounting for 513 calories. Comes down here and you get a calorie breakdown of that specific food. So you can see it's really low in fat, more than 5% protein in sweet potatoes, mainly carbs. And you can see down here, just from those sweet potatoes, I was getting all of my vitamin C, way over what I need for vitamin A, B6, B5. It's such a powerful tool. And look at this. Where'd you get your protein? Some of these are nearly complete just from the sweet potatoes. So just as an experiment as well, let's just put the oats in. Oats are so underrated. Come down here and look at the oats. Look at this for protein. Just from the 3 cups of oats. That's without any beans, any legumes. Before I'm even getting into these things, you can see protein is there. That's more than 50% of my daily protein just from breakfast, just from the oats. So that's a full day of eating for me, shown in Cronometer. I hope you find it useful. A lot of you right now probably underestimate the amount of nutrients, and in particular protein, that you can get from whole plant-based foods. And if you're new to making dietary reformations, then I highly recommend that you use a tool like Cronometer so that you can get an understanding of exactly where your nutrients are coming from.